Okay, so Ahmed, please, if you would start introductions.
Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Ahmed Raza. I'm the General Manager for Radisson Blu Anchorage Hotel in Victoria Island. Have been associated with the Radisson Hotel Group for the last 5 years, and yeah, we hope for more exciting times to come. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Chris Titmus, Profica, Project Managers. We in Lagos, we have a permanent office here. I've been here in Lagos for about 9 years, and we cover a whole lot of projects from commercial to retail to obviously hotel projects as well.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Taiwo Ashamo. I work with Amber Hospitality Services Limited. We are into hospitality management and development. We've been in existence for 10 years now. We have several operating units that we manage. One of them is Amber Residence at GRA Ikeja, where I currently work as a general manager. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gadwa Musyoka. Gadwa Musyoka is my name. I work for Bakison Enterprises. Bakison is an ICT systems integrator. Bakison is an ICT systems integrator. We have partnered with great manufacturers all over the world to deliver ICT solutions to hotels, hospitals, learning institutions, and corporates.
Hello. So, ladies and gentlemen, just as a quick introduction, obviously we are here. I read the title for you. You see the title says, Making a Hotel Go Live and Open, Hotel Implementation and Project Delivery. It's an interesting title because we do finish hotels sometimes in Nigeria, but that finish, we call it, can have a different complexion depending on what you feel. Some hotels half finish the room, some hotels go on for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Some don't even finish at all. And while there are a huge number of opportunities, I think what we've got to try and perhaps achieve is actual completion of a lot more hotels. I think it was, Mr. Trevor Ward who said, out of every 10 hotels we plan, we might deliver 1 or 2. That's quite a small percentage. So this session, I do have this excellent group of panelists here who might give us an insight as to perhaps what's going wrong and some of the things that we might do to try and ensure better success rate for all the opportunities that might be in the office. So I'd like to start. We have a gentleman who's in the project management field here, Mr. Chris Titmus. Chris, perhaps if you could give us some indication of what a developer, potential developer needs to do. If he's got a piece of land, he wants to do a hotel, I assume he's got a bit of money. What are the processes that would be required to really try and get to a successful completion?
Okay, that's a big question. I mean, let's try and break it down just at a high level place. I think, there's this sort of thought process. If I want to build a hotel, probably the first thing you need to do is get an operator, and not at the end. Because you get a lot of guys that either design and even build a hotel, and then they go to an operator and say, listen guys, can we, let's do a deal, and it's almost the wrong way around, and there's a lot of changes and there's compromises with everybody. So I think probably that's one of the first things, not necessarily maybe the first thing, but certainly one of the first things. And then the next best advice I can give you is get a decent consulting team together. You know, and Nigeria is not unique to the rest of Africa in the way people think. When they think, well, I can either get my relative to do it, and we were chatting earlier about it, or I can get the cheapest price because I can save, $50,000. Well, that $50,000 that you spend on a decent consultant might save you $1 million on the construction. So, and very often does. So I think to get a good consultancy doesn't mean you have to go and spend an arm and a leg, but certainly go and get a decent group of consultants, and the project manager would be a good one to start with, and develop a team around that, and then have something to design for. So hence why I said, rather get an operator sooner than later. So if you're aiming for a particular product that you want to try and achieve, if you're just designing because you like a big ballroom, small ballroom, big rooms, small rooms, you want suites more than you need, those become emotive responses and not necessarily informed decisions in that. So probably that's the start. I don't want to leave somebody else to continue.
From an operator perspective, what are your views? I mean, very often it may not necessarily be a developer who necessarily feels he needs an operator, that he might have just a small development in mind, but in terms of the actual process that he needs to go through, ensuring that he can get to the end stage.
Well, again, I agree with what Chris has said. The devil lies in the detail, and I think there are some factors that you need to determine. For example, decisions need to be centered around infrastructure. It has to be physical, and it has to be also commercial to some extent. Why I say that is because, when you go into a development, the owners or the developers also need to looking at what kind of brand are they looking for. The brand determines what kind of brand standards are they going to be implementing, and also kind of dictates the investment that is required. I think from an operator perspective, we need a product that the owner is guaranteeing the investment in it, because then we have the capacities to build, and obviously there is a commitment from the owner that it will be built on the right guidelines, and we will then obviously position it from that perspective. So I think planning is really important. We need to get the guidelines correct, and yes, I think what Chris has mentioned, that we need to get the right set of people who are going to determine these decisions. For example, where we operate, we have a whole technical department, technical team that comes in to visit. I would also like to add a point over here. Being operating in Nigeria for the last 5 to 6 years, I have also seen properties where we have gone into with the intent to convert, but we have seen that they are lacking basic FLS facilities, which is a huge, it's unheard of that owners are not really willing to spend into FLS management, which is very critical. So I think to just briefly summarize on what I was saying is that we need to get the infrastructure right in order to take this forward.
Just tell those who may not know, when you said FLS, fire, life and safety, which is one of the things that a lot of operators will not negotiate. It is absolutely critical for the safety and security of guests in a hotel. Tyro, from the point of view of new, should I say, owner, operator, developer, I mean, when you go, when people come and want your team to manage their hotel, what exactly are you expecting from them? What are you demanding of them in terms of the process going forward, whether it's new build or it's an existing building?
Okay, thank you very much. If we are, as an operator, we are taking over property to manage, we look at things such as, first of all, do a feasibility study, because it gives you a projection on what are you going to spend, what's going to give you return on investment. You look at things like your area of funding, your budget. Do you have the funds to run it? Because the first few months the revenue is not coming in. And then in terms of your budget, you look at budget on your expenses, you look at the budget for your revenue to kick off the first 1 to 3 years. You look at location. This location, is it what is going to be the type of your clientele, your customers, who is going to be your target market at that location? It determines your customers and your clientele. Also, you look at your competitors in that environment, which takes you to your SWOT analysis. When you know your competitors, then you bring out your SWOT analysis in the area of your strengths, your weakness, your opportunities, and the threats in that environment. And also, you look at creating a unique selling point for that property for it to survive. Thank you.
Edward, we're obviously listing here quite a lot of things that a potential developer has to consider. Obviously, there are anxieties about, most people may not be terribly savvy. I mean, technologies. How do technologies play into all of this? Because obviously we're all used to using cards to open doors and so on. You find that many developer owners or developer operators are keen to implement these technologies?
Thank you for that question. What we have seen quite a lot is so many of the developers or hotel owners will focus a lot on the construction aspect of the hotel, the brick and mortar, and keep on thinking accommodation is the main factor of the hotel. So in most cases, technology seems to be kicked to take a back foot. So many during when they are just about to finish construction, that's when they are thinking, I need to people this hotel. I need a TV in my room for the guests to be entertained. I need Wi-Fi. I need CCTV and security. So they start thinking about those aspects of the hotel at the tail end, when it was supposed to have been budgeted for at the very beginning during the construction stage. That brings a lot of cost issues where you're trying to budget for it very quickly. The money is not enough because you're quickly going towards opening the hotel. You want to finish quickly and open because you're looking at starting to get revenue. Then most of the owners will end up getting a very inferior infrastructure where some will not even meet the demands of the hotel. And what we all know is that if the back end of the hotel is not fully functional in terms of the ICT technology, in terms of your laundry, whatnot, it will not be working. And where we come in as Pakistan is to just ensure that you as a hotel owner, are you constructing a brand, or are you looking at just constructing a individually or a single owned hotel? We come to make sure that you're just trying to get everything right, so that at the end of it all, even if you want to come take up a brand much later, at least you've gotten the basics of ICT right, so that a brand will come and just give you maybe like 5 years, 10 years for you to be able to adopt the right ICT solutions.
Every hotel is a brand. Whether it's a single standalone unit that one person's had this dream, or whether it's a multinational brand, it's a brand because people come to that particular facility, which is a hotel, because they like it, and there's a particular brand and a particular ethos. So, but it's so easy not to hit that brand at the same time. And I'm not an operator, but it's so easy not to hit that brand and not have proper Wi-Fi. And the person may not say anything, they might grumble a little bit, I used my phone instead of your Wi-Fi, but you probably never see that person again and go back to another hotel. So it's very important that all these little aspects are picked up along the way.
Please go ahead.
I think we heard a lot of hardware that we've been talking about. You mentioned TVs, you mentioned Wi-Fi. I think one more thing that we also need to understand is that technology is not only limited in that segment. I think what we are witnessing right now is how technology is also coming into the commercial aspect of the business. When I say commercial aspect, it's the revenue management of the business. We have data analytics, we have softwares that are sitting somewhere far from Africa or Asia, wherever the hotel is, and they are making business decisions for you in terms of rate, in terms of availability, in terms of occupancy trends. So these are also some trends that we will need to embrace in times moving on, and we're already seeing the success of that. So I think what I just wanted to add was that the technology also brings in a commercial angle.
We who sit on this side, who essentially push forward the guidelines, push forward the methodologies, sometimes are we demanding too much from many fledgling developers? Whether it's in terms of standards they have to meet, do we need to perhaps redefine, not necessarily for the Africa region, but basically for a range of developer types? And coming on to this as well, one question I have put to Ahmed, do we need to have more guidance for developers? Because many of these developers are not very savvy in hospitality and don't know the scope. Many other buildings have 4 or 5 consultants. Hospitality can have 10, 14 consultants. So to them it's a very big jump. Are we putting too much pressure on developers?
I don't think so. I will not say that we're going to put too much pressure on them. I think it's a clear idea where we have to give the required information to make so that they can make the informed decisions. So I think it's our responsibility. And this also brings us to this famous debate where we always talk about franchise versus management contracts. So I always believe that there's always a debate going on that is Africa ready for a franchise mode? Well, my answer to that is that it's a 50-50. Why I say that is because you see, a lot of hotel developers or hotel owners, they don't have, I feel they don't really have that years of experience or the number of hotels that they've been running to go into a more independent mode of going into franchise. I'll give you a very good example that, Dubai for the last 20-25 years, with the vast experience that they have, now that management contract market is contracting because now the owners have that experience in running multiple hotels. Now they are going to learn from the wisdom of their own experience, and now they're going into franchise mode. I feel that we are getting there in Africa, but I think it will take some time. Yes, so coming back to your question, yes, we need the expertise so that we can make the informed decisions, and we don't lack facilities. I'm going to again reiterate on the fact where, we open hotels, we don't have the basic infrastructure like fire, life, safety management. Again, it's a very critical point. I have seen hotels fail audits, and I think to answer your question, I will reiterate on the fact that even if the consultants are required, I don't feel we're putting too much pressure on the owners. I think they need to be given the exact way of guidelines, the proper set of guidelines to make the best decision possible. Because it's a lot of money that they're investing in the product.
Yeah, there is a reaction in the market here, and there are clients who feel, let me build first, then let me go hunt for an operator afterwards. I mean, Chris, what's your view on that?
Please don't. I mean, it's a challenge, because you end up with all these problems. You end up with no Wi-Fi, no infrastructure. So, when I say, even the homegrown brands, I mean, there's a very definite place in the marketplace right across Africa, when we're talking about Africa. And in particular West Africa, there is definitely a place for it. But just apply a little bit of, do a little bit of research in terms of what you need to provide. So you don't necessarily have to go to the brand, and go that route. You can go your own route, or just a boutique, sort of offering that you want. But I mean, everybody that's here, and certainly a developer in Nigeria in this context, when he goes overseas, he wants Wi-Fi. So, why would you not put Wi-Fi in your hotel that you want to develop? You want a clean bed, you want a decent bed. You want a walk-in shower instead of one you have to trip over, to get in. And it's just basic sort of, logic almost, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be, it's a lot easier if you have a brand to follow, because there's the standards and the things. But again, it's something that can be developed with a little bit of knowledge, so you may not get to that performance specification that maybe the brand's looking at. But certainly you can achieve quite a lot of that without, just by applying a little bit of savvy, I suppose.
So this is where we are today, but over a period, and I'm sure I've had a discussion with all of you, we've seen a lot of gaps and a lot of errors. And we've all gotten involved in what I would call damage limitation. I mean, Gabriel, what sort of things do you see in the market that people need to really start looking out? And of course, cheating a little differently next time. Lessons that we've learned.
I think in the market, the market needs to be educated very much in terms of are you constructing a hotel or are you creating an experience? The market needs to be sensitized in terms of not just the market, but even anyone who is looking at constructing a hotel. They actually.
Sorry, is that microphone? Hello?
Can you hear me? Yeah, so what I was saying is that the market needs to be quite educated in terms of if you want to start constructing a hotel, what are the basics, the ABCD of I have thought of constructing a hotel, what is it that I need to take into consideration way before I even break ground or before I even start constructing a hotel and learn that I just want land and I just want to start constructing a hotel. What are those key things that I should consider before doing that? Because what I've seen is that because we work in the Sub-Saharan Africa, I have a piece of land somewhere, maybe it's in Lekki, Ikeja, Ikoyi, or somewhere, and I just think someone has told me that the hotel industry is quite profitable. And then the next thing is that I have some money somewhere, I just want to put up a hotel there. I have not thought about what are the tenets of me starting from ground, to look at before I start even thinking of the construction. There are so many things that needs to be considered. Do I have the finances to start and even finish the hotel that I had in mind? Because we have the hotel, so many owners that have the hotel in the mind, but in the actual sense of implementing it then becomes a challenge. So the small nitty-gritties of looking at before you start the constructions are very important. What we have seen in the market is that people don't have the knowledge. When it comes to IT, people don't even know where to start in terms of the infrastructure, creating the whole infrastructure of ICT. People don't have that knowledge because I will start constructing a building, maybe even it was an office, and in the middle of it, I feel that I want to change into a hotel, and then I bring in an IT person from just around who I've heard that they know about IT. I bring them in, and at the end of the day, they don't even know what is required for a functional hotel IT infrastructure. So there's so much that we've seen in that sense.
I take your point. Tyler, she's talking about educating the developer. How do we educate? What would you propose?
How are we negotiating to manage hotel property owners? We take them through one or two things, and then one of the conditions that we put before signing this contract is having a TSA agreement, technical services agreement with the owners, which means that your design, the layout, the construction, the equipment, the dimensions of the hotel, and what are the necessary things to put in place. We are in charge and working with, if you are bringing your own developers as the owner, we work with them from the scratch to when the hotel is ready. Because if the owners try to play some games and say, okay, I have a brother that can do this, I can import this from China, I can import this from Dubai. When the hotel open and it keeps running, the first challenge you are going to have is the maintenance cost is going to be high, because you're going to start all over again and start going back to review and other things. A lot of things, like she said, the back of the house has a huge thing to come up with and to set up before the hotel go live. So therefore, you have to sit with the owner and let them and engage them, because what they thought, the structure they are saying, you have to let them know the nitty-gritty and what it takes for it to run properly as a standard hotel.
Chris, please.
Sorry, Ajay,
Chris, may I just suggest, I did a talk once and they said how to construct a hotel in Nigeria. And I changed the topic to how not to construct a hotel in Nigeria. And perhaps that's what I'm looking for. Maybe give us 10 pointers as to how not to construct a hotel.
Don't get your brother, your cousin, or your wife's brother. That's the first one. Just make it a golden rule. You'll probably save a lot. They are so they're the same side of the opposite side of the same coin, I suppose, in a sense. Don't just does a little bit of homework and don't get bad consultants. It tends to, and how do they find that? It's difficult. I don't know really how to answer that, but a lot of it starts there, and then it goes into the procurement, as you say. Getting cheap doors from the east that are fire rated, and they even got a certificate. So, but we know it's not going to happen. One of the things that's difficult within SSA generally is that people don't care about life and safety. My hotel will never fall down, and my building won't fall down, and we will never have a fire. We've just seen a few fires in Dubai where they've got all these fairly strict codes, etc., etc. So I think if one just starts applying one's mind as a developer, never mind it's a hotel. A lot of those pitfalls are just automatically eliminated. I wanted to just also mention one thing. One of the big things that we often see is that, and you mentioned right at the outset, is that do I need an operator or whatever the case is? Do you need a hotel? Might be the first question. Is it an ego build? Is it just a trophy? Is it a legacy product? Do you need one? So there are people in the marketplace that do these researches and can provide the correct information. It's not to say that a hotel is not necessary or is necessary, but which brand, what level of hotel? Is it 2 stars, is it a 5-star? Will it work? What is the life longevity of these sort of things? So there's quite a myriad of pitfalls probably one needs to try and not walk into before you start.
As to what Chris was mentioning, I think if the decision has been made that a hotel has to be made, so I think I always prefer that it has to go to a brand that has some recognition in the market already. Someone who has been in the market, they have the leverage, they have the understanding of how things work locally. So I think that also goes a long way.
Yeah, in one word, should I say one sentence? Generally, what would you say? Because obviously in Nigeria here we're talking about educating clients and talking about, in fact Gabrielle was telling me earlier that she went east and there are so many people there who obviously wanted to do hotels, had the financing available, and just didn't know where to go. So I think as industry, we've got to find a way to get to some of the many of these people and try and push them onto the right path. It is not easy. I'm not sure whether we have solutions already for what we offer in that respect. Difficult question.
Have more forums like this.
Have more forums like this, yes.
I think it's
Absolutely.
quite a useful platform because
Absolutely.
if you're thinking of doing a hotel development, and sensible about it, you probably go to these types of forums. And maybe we need to develop more that are more on a regular basis, more intimate in the sense that it's just localized or regionalized. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure whether anyone has any questions, and quite frankly, whatever the question is, I'm pretty sure we've all come across all kinds of issues. Do we have anybody who wants to ask any questions, even if they aren't technical ones? Okay. Just to round up, I think that there's no gainsaying that it does. We all need to gather as an industry to try and educate, not just ourselves, but I can see that even people who negotiate on the commercial side, we don't have a big history of really very savvy developers who've done a lot of hotels before. And it's a relatively young market, let's be honest. And we're seeing mistakes and errors all over the place. Big hotels, small hotels, hotels which should take 2-3 years, which take 7-8 years. There's got to be a way that as an industry we can start putting a bit of rationalization into this. And I do agree with the team who have put this together. A few more forums like this would probably be extremely useful. I do know that there have been small ones where I've had the opportunity to speak to potential developers about what it's taken. Usually on the first page I put, you want to build your hotel, don't use your brother-in-law to build it. Everyone who comes along has a brother, a sister, an in-law, an uncle, who's a contractor, an interior designer. And we do, as a group, we tend to do so much what we call damage limitation. We're helping clients who have spent billions. We spend billions to now put it right. And that's something that is quite painful in the industry. So please, let's get the word out. I think that a bit of homework. So please, closing statements from each person, please. Guidelines for people who might have hotel business in mind.
Yeah, and this will be maybe my closing statement. What Pakistan is trying to do is partnering with the hotel, the construction companies, architectural companies, and EP subcontractors. So we are trying to partner with them because in most cases they are the first people who are contracted to do the constructions, to design, to do planning and the like. So what we're trying to do is not just to sell our ICT solutions and ICT infrastructure. What we're trying to do is partnering with them because we have seen so many companies, especially in West Africa, you will meet so many companies. It is a construction company, but they also have an MEP farm. And that MEP farm, they're trying to make it an ELB subcontractor. So what we're trying to do, we are selling them, yes, get them more jobs, but when you get those many jobs, can we partner with you to deliver a product that is worldwide, that is standard, that will not have issues in the future? Because guess what? An MEP subcontractor will come to you, they will construct the hotel for you, they will install the fire systems, the CCTV and security, the Wi-Fi and all this other infrastructure, but at the end of the day, they will go. They will leave you with the hotel, and you will try to get another contractor to come and now try to figure out what is it that they placed here. What cable did they use? Is the cable continuous? And so many things that are falling through the cracks. So we are partnering with them and saying, give us the job, we will advise you, we will consult for you, so that at least you can deliver a world product, not just, because what we are trying to do is, we are trying to create an experience. Because when you're constructing a hotel, you're not just constructing the brick and mortar, you're creating an experience. When I come there, I just want to come back and get the same experience that I would get when I go to the same Hilton, Radisson, Marriott Hotel in the Americas.
Tyrone.
Thank you. In a final note, what we do at Amber Hospitality Services in Nigeria right now is we work with existing hotels that are struggling in terms of finances, in terms of running the process, the operation. So we take away the pain, the headache from the owner, and then we run the facility, we bring in the skills, and we go into managing the costs properly, because you have costs that are killing the bottom line at the end of the month. We look at bringing up your management accounts, your profit and loss account, look at your balance sheet, we take over your inventory and the process that runs, and also what we also do for hotels that are coming up, we work with investors, with the owners to set it up and build it from the scratch to completion. We go into blogging, and also we help them to also bring up awareness and creating the right channel and the platform to make it more generating traffic to the property, and changing and do it turn around the strategy to make it work. Thank you.
Yeah. So on the topic, I would say the best way to set up a project, the best way to set up a project properly is to set it up properly. You know, and it sounds like a silly thing, but it's exactly, we see the failures all the time. And you know, for any developer, but in particular the asset class of being a hotel, it's a complicated product to get right from the beginning, and you need to get right from the beginning. So you know, set the project up for success. Not try and stumble your way through and hope you're going to get do something at the end of it. You know, you may end up with not a hotel, it's something else.
Just to add to what was said, and the devil is in the detail. I think the best way to go about is have a great plan on board, do your homework. Like we have discovered in this whole discussion, it's a raw market, so rawness also creates opportunities. So there are a lot of opportunities to grow the market and to grow the industry. And yes, as long as we have the right attitude, we have the right information, I think we can go really far.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Abdul, Tyrone, Chris, and many thanks for this. I know we've only touched the surface, but perhaps at least it's a beginning. Thank you very much, everyone.